Hi guys, how are you? My name is Debbie Grace. I am by profession a psychotherapist slash sociologist that helps people who have particularly been through heartbreak or trauma through the healing process. So I have, like I said, a sociology degree as well as a master's degree in psychotherapy. So I am your expert in all things health, mental health, trauma, and what have you. So without further ado, welcome to Unfiltered with Debbie Grace. Just a disclaimer, everything here in my own thoughts, and no one should take me as their personal therapist. If you are struggling with anything that I will be sharing in these Unfiltered with Debbie Grace series, please reach out to a mental health professional. Make sure they're licensed in your town and get the right help you need. If you need help from me, also inbox me and I can direct you to the right persons or personnel that will be able to assist you. Okay. I am recovering from a bit of a cold, a head cold as you'll call it, so please do bear with me. So today, let's get into it. We are talking about attachment theory, John Bowlby's attachment theory. Why are we talking about this? Because this is something that a lot of people struggle with and a lot of people are not aware of or are not assisted with. So I'm like, let's get into it. And by the way, these Unfiltered series are exactly what it stands for. Unfiltered, real life, real talk, real issues, get into the heart of helping people. So if you don't want the truth, you're all about fake life, fake views, fake what have you, please just move along, because I'm not about that life. I think we can tell that there's so much happening in the world at hand at the moment, and it should let you know that it's time for a real sit down. The world has gone bonkers, so much is going on. It is time for us to get back to the basics of what is real and what is not. So I'm not about the life of fake news and all that. If you are rude or abusive, you will be blocked. I do not take bullies. I will give it to you. I do have a mouth on me. I do have no filter. That's why it's called Unfiltered with Debbie Grace. So trust me, you bring it, I will bring it times 1,000,000, not 100. So with that being said, let's get into it. So what is attachment theory? Attachment theory is basically what we will call when you grow up, right, you usually have guardians. I wouldn't say parents, because not everyone grows up with parents, yeah? So I don't want to make people feel bad, but you do have guardians, and basically as a child grows up, they are born with an innate drive just from birth to form attachments to caregivers, and usually it's the mother or a father figure. So what happens is if you have, let's say, a crying child, let's say I have a child, right? And my child is there. This is me, my example paraphrase. My child is there crying, and I like how some African, quote unquote, older days African parents believe, oh, let the child cry. It's not gonna harm them. It's gonna build character in them. I just see the child, I let them cry, let them cry, let them cry. Or see the toddler, let them cry, don't comfort them. They're apparently, according to this theory, they're gonna grow up with an anxious style attachment phase or avoidant. Okay, so basically when I, the caregiver, provide a secure base in which the child can explore the world and where they can return for comfort and safety. So my child is crying, they scab their knee on the cement. I'm like, oh Johnny, sorry, come and give them a hug. Johnny can go again. Maybe I'm in a session. Johnny can go away at home, can go away and know that when they come back, mommy's gonna be there. So they have that evolutionary, that foundational secure base, okay? Is that okay? Am I too fast? If I'm too fast, too bad. So it's that critical period. John Bowlby believed that attachment must be formed during a critical period of a toddler's life. So that's between 2 to 3 years of their life. And if it doesn't happen, the child may suffer long-term social and emotional consequences. This is why I'm not shaming any mother or any working mum. I'm not a mum yet, but hopefully by God's grace I will be. I'm not shaming any working mum, but I believe when my kids are between the age of young until like toddler age, until 4, when they start school, I'm going to be present as much as I can. If I have to work from home, I will work from home because of that attachment phase, and I will ensure that I give them all that love and attention that I can. This is me personally, but I'm not looking down on anybody who does not manage to do that, okay? Absolutely not looking down on you, so please don't think I am, okay? All right. Yeah, so John Bowlby believes that those are the critical formative stages where an infant attaches, right, to the caregiver, and if not, if there's no secure base, the child may suffer long-term social and emotional consequences. All right, you get that? By the way, do you like my top? It says thankful. I love it so much. So let's go on about the primary figure. So usually Bowlby emphasized the importance of the primary attachment figure, which is usually the mom over all others, also dads, right? Obviously children can form multiple attachments, right? So let's talk about the different types of attachments of head that are secure, insecure, or anxious. Then there's the avoidant, the insecure avoidant, and then there's the disorganized attachment phase. So the secure, like I said, the secure attachment phase is very important because the child knows that mummy, when they need mummy, like remember Johnny, when Johnny needs me, I'm going to be there, and then the child can go and explore, right? But imagine if the caregiver doesn't give that child that attention, that love that they need. They're going to grow up insecure. They're going to grow up anxious, okay? So growing up, let me just talk about myself. So my dad is a professor, so he was always working, and I'm not blaming him, he's such a hard worker and I admire him for it, but he was always working, always, you know, busy, as men do need to work, you know, to make money for the household, the kids. So he was always working. Let me just adjust this 1 second. He was always working and busy. So what happened was he was not as present for me to get. I remember, okay, let me share this memory. I remember my most memorable times with my dad was when he was at the university, and I was also a uni student, undergrad, and I would spend countless times in his office with him. As he was busy working, I was also working, because that was how I could get attention. That's how I could get that time to bond with him, which I really, really admired and loved. And I still remember those are my favorite times with my daddy. Yeah, so, but growing up as a toddler, he wasn't really there all the time, because obviously I had to work a lot, you know, spend hours upon hours of time at the university in research, being a professor. So I did grow up, I would say, as an anxious attachment style, but obviously I've worked in it, and I put a lot of effort in it. As obviously as a therapist, you need to like work through your issues before, you know, you can give therapy to others. So I have worked in it, but this is why I can relate to that. You understand? So being an insecure attachment is basically the behaviors where a child is very distressed when the caregiver leaves, and they're not easily comforted when the caregiver returns. They may be clingy and also resistant at the same time. So this is an insecure, resistant, ambivalent attachment type style, right? And this is why what caused this is because the caregiver was inconsistent. Their style in caregiving was inconsistent, sometimes attentive, sometimes neglectful. So there was no consistency. So the outcome was the child became anxious and uncertain and overly dependent, you know, and the key traits were clinginess, fear of abandonment, emotional highs and lows, right? So when I was like getting into relationships, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about disorganized attachment. So this is where a child shows contradictory behavior. Basically, when they can approach you, and then they can freeze, they can flee, They can become confused, they can become fearful. There's so much. So let me just have a glass of water. So it's just disorganized. Sorry about that. This is only going to be 15 to 20 minutes long. I don't want it to be that long. So the key traits are unpredictable behavior, fear in relationships, often linked to trauma. And the outcomes, the child struggles with trust, regulation of emotions, and may disassociate. So this can be like, it could be from childhood trauma, like I said, but in adulthood, a secure adult is able to trust others. They have healthy relationships and they have good self-esteem. So they don't need you to always constantly reassure you. You get it? So when you're in a relationship with a secure attachment man, he is secure in himself. Whether you compliment him or you don't compliment him, he's secure. He's able to self-regulate his emotions. He's able to be present. He doesn't play mind games. He doesn't need to. He doesn't have that fear of avoidance or fear of rejection. You get it? He has a healthy self-esteem. So you can't play games with a secure attachment style personality man. You cannot, because if you say, I don't want you anymore, he's going to respect your boundaries and go. You can't be playing those mind games. People who play those mind games, they haven't healed 90% of the time, and they struggle with their own self-esteem, and hence they do that. And then an insecure avoidant style adult is distant and they struggle with intimacy. They're emotionally closed off. And let me just enter this. A lot of the dating pool right now, according to my research, 99.9% of the dating pool is full of men who have this avoidant, insecure attachment style. Because why? The secure attachment personality style men, after a breakup, they take time to heal and work on themselves. They don't just immediately jump into another reload or rebound. They're not just using sex as a cover-up to heal. Do you get it? They are there. If they were in a relationship for 10 years or married for 5 years or 1 year or 3 years, they're taking double that amount of time to process what the trauma they went through and to heal. And a lot of times they are empaths. And these empathetic men usually draw narcissistic type women or female into their lives. And the damage that those females do is just irrevocable at times. So they have to process all that. They're going through healing. Most of the times they are traumatized and they don't want to have anything to do with relationships at all. They then become closed off because of that trauma, and then it takes the hand of God to bring another great woman into their lives to break through that barrier of that trauma and then to open up and find love again. So 99.9% of men in the dating pool, especially in our generation, is just in this cesspool, insecure avoidant attachment style. And the 1%, I always say the 1% or 0.5% are either, when you ask where are the men, so 0.0000% of the men are homosexual, so they're not your type, or 0.00001% are bisexual, and they're not really your type either. That's not what you're looking for. The other half are just closed off narcissists, and they're in the dating pool looking to destroy women. The other half are misogynist, and they don't even like women. They just want to use women for what they can. And then the other half are just basically, like I said, the avoidant attachment style. So it leaves the if you're lucky, or if God blesses you and you wait on God and do the work, you can break the pattern and attract the secure attachment style man. But you need to look out for those signs. So it's very, very important. And like I said, let me come back to when I was in relationships. When I was in my reload phase or what have you, I really attracted these insecure avoidant attachment personality style because they were familiar to me. Because remember, growing up, my dad was always busy, being a professor and working hard, being a professor emeritus at the university. So I thought love was ignoring you because you're too busy, or I thought love was when a man is inconsistent with he's emotionally distant, he's rejecting, he's emotionally unavailable, right? Because that's what my opposite sex male caregiver, i.e. my dad, not my mom, was like, and remember, usually the opposite. So it doesn't matter if my mom was emotionally present, emotionally available, caring, secure. What I needed from my dad, remember, a girl's dad is the imprint of the type of men she will go for. So what I needed from my dad was that kind of present love, right? And hence, I started attracting men who just ignored me or left me distressed and were emotionally unavailable and all that, what have you. And not until I healed and I broke the pattern and I was like, nope, I don't deserve breadcrumbs of attention, affection. I'm worth more than you could even imagine. Not until I broke the pattern, I came to that realization. And mind you, it took me like a while. So don't feel bad if you're not there yet. But it's not until I broke that pattern before I started attracting healthy type of man in my life. A man who is secure, a man who loves me, a man who's present, a man who's consistent, a man who calls me, a man who checks in on me, a man who's a protector, a man who's a carer, a man who loves me and actually likes me, likes my company. When we go through stuff, we can talk about it together. Do you understand? So I'm kindly begging and pleading with you, women and men, choose women who are going to be secure in their attachment, and men choose women who are secure in their attachment, and women choose men who are, secure. Because what happens when you have a insecure avoidant and you have an anxious avoidant and you have an anxious personality style, the anxious type calls a man. The man doesn't pick up. He doesn't even care about it. The girl becomes anxious. The lady becomes anxious, calls 100 times. The guy just feels suffocated and pulls away. And it's just this tug of war that just keeps pulling. It just doesn't work. You just need someone who's compatible and who is mature and grown enough to actually communicate with you. Okay? So remember that. Another thing that I will say, it's 3 minutes left. I want to end this at 20 minutes. Is that you sometimes a parent can also, let's say for example, my mom was the present caregiver that was present emotionally. She's the secure, and my dad was avoidant, insecure, right? Or avoidant, insecure, right? I just said that. And then my mom, when I do something that is not pleasing to the mom or what have you, or I don't, cooperate, or I'm self-assertive and have a mind of my own, and she can then detach and pull away. And when she pulls that love away, now the person who is anxious starts to relive that trauma again. And it could feel like they're being rejected. It could feel like they're being abandoned. It could feel like, because the caregiver that was secure, that they could rely on, the only caregiver that was present, it now feels like they're distant, and now they're getting emotionally closed off, and it could feel like torture. It could feel like mental torment for the anxious attachment child or teenager or young adult. So what you have to do is just self-regulate and tell yourself that you are beautiful, you're worth it. You have people in your support system who will be there for you and who care about you and who love you. And even if nobody's there for you, you love yourself because you're worth it. You hug yourself, you pat yourself on the back, and you tell yourself that you're worthy of love. And find your tribe, find the people who are gonna actually be present consistently. It doesn't matter, without conditions. It doesn't matter if you have a filter or not. You need to find people in your life who would love and appreciate you for the truth that you tell them, not because you're people pleasing them and stepping on eggshells. Okay, so I gotta end the video. Yeah, I hope you've learned a thing or two about attachment theory, and just remember that you are loved. A lot is going on in the world, but God says that he'll never leave us nor forsake us. Even if your mother, your father, or your guardian leaves you or forsakes you, God will never forsake you. And remember that we were told that there will be wars and rumors of wars in this world, but God leaves us with peace, not like the world giveth, but like He gives. So I will say I'm also a Christian. So if you're not and you want to come for me, feel free to go. But it will have references to Christian theology. So just know that God loves you. Know there's a lot going on in this world, but God has already told us that. And just be comforted in the love of God. Okay? Have a lovely time, and this is Unfiltered with Debbie Grace, a psychotherapist and sociologist in the mental health profession. Mwah. Ciao.